And so you have all of these so-called environmentalists who are not actually about saving the wild places at all. What they're about is, okay, so you have 1 million people march in some city to stop global warming. And if you ask the individuals why they are doing this, a lot of them will say, we want to save the planet. And if you ask them what are their demands are they want subsidies for the wind and solar energy industries. That is a huge coup that has taken place. Can you think of any other mass movement for social justice that has had as its demands subsidies for specific sectors of the industrial economy? All this is a tremendous co-optation, and a co-optation that is not actually helpful. And it's really a response to peak oil is what the whole climate change movement. I'm not talking about grassroots climate change movement. I'm talking about the NGO climate change movement. Yeah. It's really more of a response to peak oil, because what we're seeing is those in power recognize, those who are in charge of the energy industries recognize that they need to have a transition to other forms of energy, because oil has passed its peak and it's slowly declining. And how does capitalism work? It works with subsidies. How do they get subsidies? By scaring the hell out of people and telling them global warming is going to kill you if you don't change over to wind and solar. And I'm not saying global warming isn't going to kill us. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is wind and solar are not going to save us. They're not even going to save the damn economy, which is something we can get into later or another time because we're running out of time. But the real point here is that, A, what Al Gore says is the right thing is not what I think is the right thing. Well, for me, the right thing is stopping all industrial culture. And everybody gets so scared and they say, oh my God, that's so terrible, Derrick. You want to kill 6 billion people. But that's not true. And so when we talk about, yes, people in the United States and the UK will not be very happy when we lose our comforts or elegancies, especially. Yeah. And this is also another part that's really important to this is the people who say, gosh, Derrick, you want to kill, all the humans on the planet because you want to bring down civilization. It's like, look, civilization is going to crash anyway, whether or not we bring it down. It's going to crash through peak oil, through global warming, through capitalism destroying the planet, or through brave women and men working in concert with the planet to bring it down. It's going to come down somehow or another. And so if your concern is primarily for the humans who will be alive during and after the crash, then what you need to do, instead of complaining at me for stating the obvious, you need to help prepare people for the crash. Yep. So if that's your primary concern, go for it. I'm not saying that was that person's primary concern. I'm saying this is a critique I get all the time. You asked me what was the right thing to do. The right thing to do for the planet. Here, it's really easy. As soon as you start to look at everything from the perspective of, okay, what would be best for the fish who still live in the Thames River? What would be best for the birds, the seabirds, who still live off the northern coast of Britain? I mean, it's pretty obvious that they need for industrial fishing to stop. I mean, let's think about this for a second. I know salmon here. What do salmon need to survive? What they need is for dams to be removed. What they need is for industrial logging to stop. They need for industrial fishing to stop. They need for global warming to stop, which means they need for the entire economy to stop. And they need for the oceans not to be murdered. When people say, how can we save the salmon? They're not actually asking any of those questions. What they're asking is, how can we save the salmon without doing any of those things? Yeah. And the answer is can't. So for me, the absolute key is to make your loyalty to the land. And once you start looking at it from the land's perspective, it really becomes a lot more easy. But once again, if that makes you really mad at me because I care about the frogs and I recognize the frogs cannot survive this culture, and you want for humans to be able to have a soft landing, which I wish for with every cell in my body, but it's not going to happen, then what you need to do is prepare people for that crash.